So suppose we don't like our neighborhood. Suppose that our neighborhood become infested with drug dealers or prostitution or gang banger, and they start invading our neighborhood, and we just don't like it. I think for most of us here, we have the resources that, let's get out of this neighborhood, move to another neighborhood, or move to another city, or maybe even move to another state, or even move to another country. I know for us, we can move to Canada back again. So it's for most of us can. But for most of the people in this world, they don't have a choice, especially in the poor countries. They are born and raised, and they will die in the same village. They don't have the resources. They're stuck there. They have to put up with the violence or the corruption or the natural disaster that visits them every single year. They have no choice. And this is what's happening to these Christians in Pergamos. They had no choice. They were stuck. And God is saying, I understand your circumstances. I know you feel like you're stuck in where you are. So God is saying to this church, hey, I know your situation, your circumstances. And then the second thing God says to them also said, I know that where you are living is where Satan's throne is. Now, why is that? Why did God say that, that is where the Satan's throne is? That's an interesting concept, because if you think about it, Satan is not omnipresent like God. God is omnipresent. He can be anywhere, anytime. But Satan is not like omnipresent. So in other words, his influence, his power, or his manifestation is not equal everywhere in this world. There are places, there are pockets, there are strongholds in this world, or in the certain countries, or in a certain city, or in a certain location, where Satan's power or Satan's influence is more evident or more powerful, or his stronghold is more tight in certain places than other places. So let's pick an example. Take Las Vegas, for instance. What's another name for Las Vegas? What kind of city is it called? That's right. Why do you call it Sin City? Okay? I remember when we were there a year and a half ago to do a wedding, even when we were standing or driving, we see billboards on trucks, driving this huge billboard, driving on trucks, with very, very almost naked women. It was funny because Nicholas was staring at it, and I was like, Nicholas, you're so young, man. He's looking, he's trying to figure out what is that, that kind of thing. But even when we were walking on the street, trying to cross the street, waiting for the pedestrian signal to cross, and we saw dozens of carts all over the floor, all over the sidewalk, dozens of them. They look like baseball cards or hockey cards or football cards. They're little cards like this, and on each card, there were topless women with very little in the bottom, okay? On all the cards, they were everywhere. And then we were stepping on it, walking out. Are there, those kind of clubs in Dallas? Of course there are too. But you can know that in that particular city, it is tolerated, it is accepted. I don't think Dallas would tolerate too much if you see all those cards everywhere you go. But in Vegas, it's pretty well accepted. So there are cities, there are places where there are more violence. Like across the border in Mexico, we saw how people die every day because of a crossfire between drug dealers. Some places there are just so much violence of killing, of war, or kidnapping, or prostitution, or whatever it is. These are strongholds of the enemies. But here's another reason why I believe that God said that you are living in a place where Satan's throne is. In this particular city, Pergamos, there was an altar made and dedicated to the god of Zeus. This is what it looks like. It's actually 90 feet by 40 feet. Okay, it's 90 feet wide, 40 feet high. And the bottom, it actually says, when I look at it from the internet, it says that this altar was built in the 2nd century BC in the ancient Greek city of Pergamon, was dedicated to the Greek god Zeus. It was removed in the 19th century from this original site by Karl Hannen, a German archaeologist, and reconstructed in the Pergamon Museum in Berlin. Okay? This is what it looks like. Now, that particular altar was housed in a certain building or certain structure, and this is a picture, a top picture, what may look like back in the old days. This is a top picture, but here's a cross-section, okay, what it looks like, possibly. But I want to show you the next picture of the real city, or this is actually the Acropolis, the citadel of that city. It looks like that. this is what it looks like today. So from a long distance, maybe from far away, that citadel or that acropolis may actually look like a throne for Satan, where the altar of Zeus was created, okay? Again, there must be no mistake when God writes something. And look at the third statement that Jesus said. He says, I know your works and where you dwell and where Satan's throne is, and you hold fast to my name, and did not deny my faith, even the days in which Antipas was a faithful martyr who was killed among you where, what? Satan dwells. So God is now saying to these Christians in Pergamus that, look, I know where you live. I know that you are living in a very bad place where Satan's throne is and where Satan actually lives. It's his residence. This is where, God is sort of saying to them, I know where you are. Okay, I know what's the situation you're going through. Now, why would, again, identify Pergamus as a place where Satan dwells? What does Satan actually lives in that location? Well, one possible reason is because of this. There are 3 major temples that has been built in this particular city. I want to read to you a short description of what's happening here in the city. Pergamum became the chief town of the new province of Asia and the site of the first temple of Caesar cult dedicated to the goddess Roma and the Emperor Augustus in 29 BC. Pergamum, since 29 BC, had been active in the promotion of the imperial religion and became the provincial center of the Roman state religion. So this city became the sort of like the epicenter, okay, or become the central place where, again, where Roman state religion is being taken place, okay? So this is the place, okay, the epicenter where, this ungodly religion is really the center of, okay? So the first one, it says the first temple was dedicated to the goddess Roma. Here's this is, I know you can't really see very well, but this is actually a reenactment that is still happening on a yearly basis. This is what it says. Each year, in honor of the holiday of the Grupo Storico Romano, holds a goddess Roma contest in which they choose a young woman to lead the parade in guise of the goddess Roma. She's seen above sporting her war helmet and holding the orb of the earth in her hand. Okay? So even until today, they're still celebrating this particular goddess by having a festival, by having a parade. Okay? The second temple that was erected there is called the Temple of Bacchus. Not Bacchus, okay? Bacchus, Dionysus, okay? Which is really is the Roman god of wine. Or another one that I read is actually, it is the god of revelry, okay? Because when you think about drinking a lot of wine, you get drunk, and you know what happens when you're drunk, you become very immoral. So this is not a good place to go to. The third temple that was created there, and I want to read something to you guys again about this third god, or about what happening in this particular city. And I think most of us will be able to identify this third god. Pergamum was the famous site of the temple Asclepius, the Greek god of healing, supposed to be the founder of medical science and immortalized in the sky as the constellation Ophiuchus. The city became the seat of Babylonian sun worship, a noble center of idolatry and demon-controlled religions with splendid temples to nature. People from all over Roman Empire came to seek healing in this pagan temple, and the shrine area was inhabited by thousands of harmless snakes. On the hills of Acropolis stood resplendent building, statuary, palaces, and great library, as well as a temple and an altar of Zeus the Savior, which we talked about earlier. Medicine and science was worshipped here, and the symbol of their worship was the serpent. The snake was carried down into our own day with a staff entwined with serpents called the caduceus, still using the snake as a symbol for the medical arts. Asclepius is depicted holding the caduceus in his hand. So you probably, okay, this is what it looks like. This is their god, Asclepius, whatever. Okay, and he's holding this thing that all of us are all familiar with and have seen, caduceus. Okay, I remember in Indonesia when my uncle who lived with us, he's a doctor, and he has in his car this little symbol, a little piece. It's actually, I don't know, it's a little metal piece, and then he puts it in the front of the window on the side so that people know that he is He's a doctor. And so I remember we were driving one day, and we got into a traffic jam because there was a severe accident. There was a bad accident. And I